don't just bludgeon them over the head with carnivore, carnivore, eat nothing but meat, salt, and water for the rest of your life. They're going to run from you like you're some TV evangelist. Boom, What's up, everybody? Coach Rob here. I'm back from a 4-day weekend. Yes, I got out of town for 4 days. I took my beautiful wife and lovely daughter out of town to Tennessee and just escaped for a little bit, recharged the batteries. It's my wife's birthday, so happy birthday to her. And we just had a really good time. We really didn't have much of an agenda. We did a little shopping. We ate some really good food. We ate some really bad food. Yes, I do that on rare occasions. And I enjoyed every damn second of it. And now we are right back on the plan, living life, eating lots of meat, and life is good. So I wanted to jump on here and just shoot the shit with you a little bit today. I told you I'd be putting out more video content. I am true to my word thus far. And whether you like it or not, here we go again. You know what? I stumbled on to a pretty wild statistic that didn't surprise me, but it is still kind of wild when you think about this statistic. Did you know what the average intake of protein is by the average American? It is, on average, roughly 16%. I stumbled onto that statistic a while back. And to be more specific in terms of breakdown of the average American eating an average American shit diet, the average American consumes, somewhere between 45 and 50% carbohydrate, somewhere around 35 to 40% fat, and on average in the neighborhood of 16% protein, which, if that doesn't just encapsulate what is wrong with this country and even abroad, and why everybody is sick, fat, tired, and completely falling apart, I mean, that sort of paints the picture, doesn't it? Here's the crazy thing. Yeah, we you're watching this probably because something to do with the fact that, I've kind of been really entrenched in this low-carb, ketogenic, carnivore, hyper-carnivore world for many, many years. Gosh. As I've said, going really all the way back to like 2005 and just kept evolving and evolving. So I've been doing this a long time. I've seen everything. I've heard everything because I work directly with real people, real clients, and literally every day, constantly just the messages are coming in from those clients, from people on social media, Instagram messages, Facebook messages, people sliding into the DMs. That's a thing, right? That's, I'm just trying to stay cool. Sliding into the DMs, asking me a lot about the nutrition end of it. Some training questions pop up, but a lot of nutrition questions. And the bizarre thing about this is yes, I 100% advocate a hypercarnivore / carnivore way of eating. If you suffer from practically anything, you can go a long way in healing that, in becoming a better human being, changing your body composition, becoming stronger, becoming healthier, becoming fitter, becoming less broken, repairing damage that you may have placed upon yourself through poor nutrition habits for however long. A carnivore diet, a hypercarnivore diet, can really heal that. But the crazy thing is, I'd be lying to you if I also didn't tell you, what, at the bare minimum, at the minimum, if you want to make a drastic turn, a wholesale change, what the minimum of that would be this. We talked about the average American only consuming roughly 16% of their energy intake from protein. Let's be very simple about this. At the bare minimum, if you just focused and prioritized protein first. When you look at your day, if you look at a plate, if you look at your food, if you prioritize protein first, that's a huge step in winning the battle, winning the war, making a complete change. So you prioritize protein. So ask yourself, am I prioritizing protein? Am I getting at least 30% or more of my energy intake, calories if you will, from protein? And it can be more than that. You know, there have been times where I was, you know, in some of my competition years, there were short periods of time in the process where I was taking in 50% or more of my energy intake from just protein. Now, you don't have to do that. I mean, clearly fat is a very important and vital component of this, but once again, I'm giving you the bare minimum. For that person out there that may be listening to this, or if you know someone that needs to be healed, rescued, that wants to make a dramatic change, wants to lose a lot of weight, whatever, needs to heal themselves, and they're not willing to adhere to a strict ideology that has a name attached to it, like, you know, they don't want to go carnivore, they don't want to go keto, they don't want to go, you know, whatever. That's fine. So what's the bare minimum that person, you, whoever you may be, what is the bare minimum to achieve a dramatic result still? Again, prioritize protein first. Make sure you're getting 30% or more of your energy intake for the day from animal-based protein. Red meat, eggs, fish, poultry, pork, shellfish, whey, it could be even. And they'll get yelled at for that, but, you know, I'm not going to get mad at you if you're trying to make a change and a protein shake is convenient to help you achieve that level of protein intake, to prioritize that level of intake in a very hectic, busy lifestyle if you just, you know, need something a little more convenient. I'm not going to get mad at you. Animal protein is by far superior to plant protein, regardless of what they tell you on the TVs, and regardless of what three-letter agency is telling you that you need to be consuming. Because as we've learned, kids, if a three-letter agency or anything, any government agency is telling you to do it, whatever they're telling you to do the opposite. That little tip right there just might save your life. No, really, if you know, you can take just about anything from a three-letter government agency, and whatever they're telling you, you can do the opposite, and you'll be doing yourself a service. So anyway, prioritizing protein, making sure that it's animal-based protein for sure. That is a huge key. Now, the other thing is, you know, you could go back 100 years, even further than that. And if we put you in a time machine and we took you back 100 years, 150 years, 200 years, you would have to look around a bit to find a fat person. You would. And it's not because they were all eating carnivore. It's not because they were all keto. It's not because they were all super low carb. You know, a lot of people back in those days, you can even go back to like the 70s. You've seen these pictures of, you know, a typical beach in America in the 1970s, in the 1960s, in the 1950s. There were no fat people. Sorry, there weren't. There were very few. They were the outliers. And all those people weren't on freaking crazy low-carb diets. All those people weren't on like very strict carnivore diets. Most of them just avoided processed foods, avoided fast foods, and the biggie, seed oils. In our culture, what's bizarre is you and I, like just in the last 60 years, we're the seed oil generation. It's really, in human history, it's in its infancy, sadly. If you look at timeline of human existence, the advent of seed oils, which are just simply industrial machine lubricants or the equivalent, they're completely toxic garbage. It's just a small sliver in time. If you did a pie chart of human history, you couldn't visually see the sliver in that pie chart of when seed oils came onto the scene. It's such a tiny blip in our human history, yet now they've become so prevalent in everything. They're everywhere. And there are some of you out there that still believe the exquisite bullshit that they are good for you, that canola oil and vegetable oil and sunflower oil and all of these things, and like these fake ass butters and country crock spread shit is actually good for you. It is completely toxic and one of the chief contributors to the downfall of human beings as a whole. They contribute to just about every facet of metabolic disease. So, though I highly recommend, pointing the needle towards carnivore, at the bare minimum, you could save somebody's life by telling them, hey, listen, every meal you eat, make sure there's an adequate protein source. You could even say something to the effect of make sure that every meal has 35 grams or more, 30 to 35 grams or more of animal protein, meat, eggs, fish, poultry, whatever. And then eliminate processed foods, seed oils, vegetable oils. Refrain from eating out too much. See, the thing is if you eat out a lot, even if you think you're going to a good restaurant, fine dining even that relatively healthy option that you think you're getting could have been slathered in seed oils or cooked in seed oils, because seed oils are dirt cheap and they're stable on a shelf forever. So restaurants use those because it's better for their bottom line. They're not really using tallow anymore or coconut oils or good olive oil, things of that nature. It's rare. It shocks me how often I have been to what I thought was a finer restaurant in terms of classification. And when I went to ask the server if they had real butter or if it was fake shit, 9 times out of 10, they don't know and they have to go find out. Then they come back to tell me, like, hey, you know what? I learned something today. It's actually not real butter. I didn't think it would be. Oftentimes it's not. So you got to ask questions. But anyway, I digress. If you're eating out a lot, chances are you're consuming a lot of seed oils and preservatives and refined things, processed things. And it would go a long way if you were to eat or consume 90% or more of your food from foods that you prepare yourself. And those foods should be something that you know exactly where they came from a local farm or a local butcher, or for a fact that they are grass-fed or pastured or antibiotic-free or non-GMO and organic. That's important stuff. That's the kind of stuff we pour over when we're consuming our foods or seeking out local, sustainable, farm-raised meats. We have our own eggs, so we're fortunate there. And we're looking into doing our own chicken and rabbits soon. So anyway, back to the whole point. You prioritize protein. You stay away from a lot of restaurant food. You avoid seed oils like the plague. You just avoid processed foods. And just that alone could make a dramatic change in your health and fitness. And you might be stunned to see the body fat falling off of you as well. don't be misled into thinking that it's just carbohydrates. I can get somebody freaking shredded eating rice. I can get somebody shredded, eating potatoes. I can. It's not ideal. I think a little bit of some of those foods is fine if you're metabolically healthy and you train hard. But we've been misled into thinking that it has to be, carbs is the thing that's derailing us. That's the key component. It's really, that's just a small part of it. If somebody said to me, you can eliminate, one subset of nutrition for the rest of your life in an attempt to be the healthiest version of yourself, I wouldn't pick carbs. I would pick processed food / seed oils. That's what I would eliminate. That's, I always say most things are open to interpretation because of each individual's metabolic health, their output, their genetics, age, all kinds of factors. And by eliminating processed food and seed oils first, that's the one thing that we could put under the umbrella and say, this is a hard truth. No one benefits from seed oils and shitty processed food. No one does. It's the worst. It's worse than carbs. And I'm not sitting here telling you need to, stuff your face with potatoes. That can have a place for some in the right amounts, at the right times, in the right context. But by eliminating processed food, fast food, a lot of restaurant food, seed oils, and prioritizing animal protein, just that alone could change everything. You're active, you're eating real wholesome whole food, getting that animal protein in, eating those eggs, nature's multivitamin, and getting rid of those industrial machine lubricants and staying away from places where you get your food through a window. You do that, and you go walk around, 10 to 15,000 steps a day of activity. Get real sunlight into your retinas and on your skin. Stay away from the incredibly damaging blue light stimulation from screens, especially after sunset. Prioritize sleep as much as you prioritize your protein. Make sure that you're not deficient in magnesium and vitamin D. And you will thrive, even if you have some rice. Too many influencers, if that's what they're still calling us out there, are spending all of their time scaring the living shit out of people with the carb narrative when they should begin with seed oils and processed food narrative. One of the first things I tell my clients, especially here in my gym, is, as I just said, don't get your food from places that shove it to you through a window. Don't get food where you get your gas. And restaurant food, unless you're extremely picky and selective, is generally never a good idea. So only do that on special occasions. We might eat out, my family I'm referring to, once, maybe twice a month. And it's usually a local family-owned barbecue joint or a steak place. It's a reasonable, safe bet there. So that, just that alone could be life-saving. And we don't hear that enough from people like me. The formula is not that complicated. Start there with your loved ones. Start there with your brother, your sister, your mother, your father, your spouse, your aunt, your uncle, your best friend, your coworker. Ease into it that way. Don't just bludgeon them over the head with carnivore, carnivore, eat nothing but meat, salt, and water for the rest of your life. They're going to run from you like you're some TV evangelist. That's no way to win the hearts and minds of people who are legitimately struggling with the addiction of hyperpalatable foods. So again, we're trying to coax a squirrel to come nibble out of our hands. Don't make any big, scary, sudden movements to scare the shit out of them. So again, we have to bring some sanity back to this whole nutrition space and exercise space. Wait till I give you my, for the last damn time, more is not better exercise video. That's a whole nother story. So I just wanted to just have a little quick conversation with you to say, whether it be for you or that aforementioned loved one, friend, whoever, let's not be so dogmatic and just preachy about this stuff. You can do so much good just by on-ramping people with the simple things that I just mentioned. And then once you're there, then move that chess piece forward a little bit, as people will be far more open to it. Yeah, I know. I get it. A lot of people are, the cold turkey types. I'm going cold turkey. I'm starting this thing tomorrow. I'm going 100%. How long does that last? Very rarely does it last for the overwhelming majority of people that embark on it. A diet. To nearly everyone, diet is a derogatory term. So once again, it's not going to sound insane to tell somebody, hey, let's first just start by getting more protein in your diet. That sounds pretty harmless. Let's eliminate this obsession and complete reliance on restaurant food and fast food and eating out. Let's taper that off. And let's by all means avoid processed, packaged, hyperpalatable foods and seed oils. Include refined sugar into that conversation. Then we'll worry about eliminating an entire food group. Because it doesn't have to be that much of a bludgeoning to somebody. Does that make sense? So there's our lesson for today, kids. So I just think that was an important thing that needed to be said, because it's almost daily that I have these conversations with people that are trying to make this change. And it's to some of you, many of you, as is to me, talking nutrition, I mean, that's what I do. It all makes sense to me. There's nothing I haven't heard before. There's nothing I haven't been through before or helped somebody with. But for so many people out there, it's very, very foreign and very overwhelming to a lot of people, not only to conceptualize it, but then you're also dealing with battling, in some cases, a lifetime addiction, both mentally and physiologically. I mean, that is a back alley knife fight right there with somebody. So let's come in from a different space or a different place and just pull back and peel the layers down to what is most fundamentally important in step one, and then ease them onto that. And then as they start to see results, they start to feel better, they start to sleep better, they start to perform better. They'll see, all of a sudden 5 pounds fall off, and they'll see that change maybe on the scale. Pants are fitting a little looser. Then we'll just keep moving the chess pieces forward until we checkmate. We've truly healed somebody. So that's all I wanted to say today. So hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and stay tuned for more video content coming from this fine channel. I appreciate your support. You guys are awesome. And I look forward to an awesome 2024 with you guys. So train hard, diet harder, but above all else, do whatever you got to do to go out there and have an awesome day. Peace.